Hello, ADHDers. Welcome to day 5. I hope that you all have been playing full out these 4 days. I hope that you have come here, you've done your take 6, you've studied your whys, you've looked at your identity, you know who you want to be, and you are ready to dive in and wrap this all up. Because I'm very excited. I'm excited about today. I'm excited about all of the work that we've done this week. This is really foundational. And although I took um, just a few concepts from the much larger foundational piece, I these are the core pieces that will build a really strong foundation for you, a really strong system that you can use to achieve your goals one after the other. So let's really dive in and get I have a lot to get through today and I don't want to make this video any longer than any of the rest. So um you probably think, we have these big lofty goals and sometimes we get so caught up in the weeds. We get so caught up in all of the to-dos that we have to accomplish in order to get there. That's when we freeze. And that's when we just decide that we don't want to do it anymore. It's not as much fun. The idea of the destination was fun, but the getting there is not fun. And it's like driving from New York City to San Diego. We have this long road ahead of us. And if we focus on how long that road is, we're going to get paralyzed. So let's start with, what do we do to get from point A to point B? What do we do to get from, where we are to where we want to go? And the first thing we have to do is plan, which is the ADHDer's nightmare. We, other than, my sister, as I talked about before, generally speaking, planning is not our strong suit. But in order to get to our destination, in order to know how we're going to get there, we do have to do some planning. However, it does not need to be an elaborate plan. It doesn't need to include every detail. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to have a clear direction. So don't get too caught up in the weeds on the planning. Some people spend so much time planning how they're going to do something that they never get to actually doing it. Because once they start planning, it's like, oh, but I have to do this, and then I have to do that, and I have to, oh my gosh, there's way too much to do. Don't do that. Don't do that. So just know where you're going and let's start there. Okay. The second thing you need is to pack the essentials. So you need to have your roadmap. You need to have your tools and your strategies. You need to have resources, whether that's family and friends or a therapist or a coach. You need to have a community surrounding you to some extent. Now, one of the things that I will caution you on is um, many ADHDers, like I said, we've got a lot of ideas, and one of our challenges is we start things and we don't finish them. So too often, the traditional gurus will say, tell everybody what your plans are because that's gonna keep you committed to doing it. And I'm gonna tell you as an ADHDer, that is not a good strategy. So tell people that you know are going to support you 100%. And that's why I said a coach or a therapist. If you have a best bud who is like, your ride and die, who's like, I am there with you, sister. I'm gonna every morning I'm gonna be cheering you on. That's great. If you have a partner who's like that, that's great, but be very selective of who you choose to bring on this journey with you. Because if you have any naysayers, that will kill your momentum instantaneously because as soon as you hit a roadblock, as soon as you have to hit a detour, that person is going to be chirping in your ear saying, "See, I told you, just another thing that you started and didn't finish." Um, so be selective on who you bring on your journey. The third thing you need is just to get in the car and go. So, too many times we plan it, we want to do it. It's there, it's on our to-do list. We've made a nice little vision board. We have sticky notes up, and then we do nothing. So, it's like we want to do it, but sometimes we just don't know where to start. And I'm going to get into where to start in a minute. But the first thing that we need to do is we need to get in the car and go. But the reality is, so we can get in that car, we can be so excited. We know what we want to do, right? We've written it down. We know that we want to do this thing. We want to build this business. We want to lose this weight. We want to, find a romantic partner, whatever your goal is. We're excited. We have the tools. You just spent 4 days with all of the strategy and you are ready to put it in action. You get in the car, you crank up the radio, you're dancing, you're driving along, and and after a while, about 6 hours in, you're getting kind of tired and hungry, and you realize that you forgot your snacks and you're a little bored, and then you look at the map and you realize that, well, you started here and you need to go here, and you're only about here. You still have a long way to go. And it doesn't seem as fun anymore. It's not as fun as it was when you first got in the car. So what are you going to do? Are you going to pull over and stop right there? Are you going to turn around? What are you going to do? Are you going to quit? No, you're in it. You're going to keep going. You're going to keep moving forward. But how do we do that when when our journey isn't a comfy one? How do we do it when not moving is an option? So that's one of our big problems. Not moving forward, unfortunately, is an option. Sitting on the couch and watching Netflix is an option. That's when you need to use the strategies that we've already done in this program. You pull out your why and your identity. You ask yourself, what if I don't achieve my why? What if I just quit right here? What if I tear up the map and just say it was a stupid idea and forget it? Does that feel like a good option? Are you really going to give up? Look at that identity list. Take a good look at it. Do you see quitter on there anywhere? Is quitter on your identity list anywhere? I doubt it is. It's not, because that's not who you aspire to be. So, why do you even have specific desires? Why do any of us have specific desires? I have a desire to drive fast. Some people get very nervous driving fast. Those people don't like riding in a car with me. But maybe they have a desire to garden or to skydive. I don't have the desire to do either of those things. So why do I desire chocolate cake and being in nature, and someone else desires snorkeling and skiing, right? What is it about our desires, right? It's desires come from somewhere else, somewhere inside, a place we can't physically touch, but it's there. We know it's there, right? We know what our desires are. It's our inner knowing, our soul, our spirit. And regardless of what your religious or spiritual beliefs are, you have to agree that desire is a spiritual type experience. You can imagine getting or doing the thing that you desire, and you can feel excited. If you imagine something that you don't desire, nothing. Like you don't feel anything, right? If somebody says to me, "Hey, let's go skydiving," I'm like, "Eh, not my thing." If somebody says to me, "Hey, do you want to go on a hike? I just found this really neat trail." I'm like, "Cool, let me get my boots." So you can feel it, right? Think of something that you desire and immediately you feel it. Now think of something you don't desire. It's gone. So if you can agree that desire is something that lives within us, that draws us, that makes us happy, then what happens when you choose to go back to your comfy place instead of achieving what you desire? What does that do to you? Now, we also understand that there can be healthy and unhealthy desires. I desire, like I said, chocolate cake and sweets. I desire them more than are good for me. And I recognize that that's an unhealthy desire. So to combat that, I override it with healthy desire that's more meaningful and long term. Like I have a desire to live until I'm 94 and still be walking around and driving and spry and I have my wits. I have a desire to hike with my grandkids if I ever have any. I have a desire to be an active senior citizen. And I know the more chocolate and sweets I eat, the less likely I will achieve that desire. So focus on the healthy desires, the ones that bring you long-term joy. But here's the important part. Understand it's not a race, okay? You've sat frozen, making no progress. And you know, if you don't start heading toward your goal, you're going to continue to make no progress. So don't throw the first monkey wrench in it by focusing on how far and how long and how hard. Just like you do when you're driving through thick fog, you just keep moving a little bit at a time. Accomplish what's right there in front of you, but keep moving, right? If you don't keep moving when you're driving in the fog, what happens? Somebody could rear end you. So you want to just keep moving, incremental steps. You can't see the finish line from where you're at. You can't see the destination. You can't see San Diego from New York City. You know it's there, you know the direction, and you just keep moving. So, yes, we need to know our destination so we make sure we keep heading in the right direction. But know that it's a journey, and you absolutely, absolutely will get there if you just keep moving. It's important to make short-term goals. Every day, make a short-term goal. If you want to get a new job, what can your goal be for today, just today? Maybe start looking at job postings and qualifications that are needed. Maybe tomorrow's looking for a class for a specific skill you need and signing up, sign up for the class. Maybe the next day is finding your resume, which can be a goal for a day if you haven't touched it in a while. If your goal is to start a business, today your goal could be to spend 3 hours researching that type of business and seeing what you like and don't like about the competition. Maybe you're looking at making an additional $100,000. What does that look like today? $100,000 in a year, that goal could look huge to you depending on where you're at right now. So what is your goal for today? Today, maybe your goal is $273. That would be what you need to make every single day for a year to make $100,000. But as you get better, you'll make more money. So you can take the weekends out and adjust the equation as you move towards your goal. So we can always adjust our journey, right? We can decide that we're going to take another route, but we keep going in the same direction. Maybe your goal is to lose 35 pounds by summer. Now, is that a healthy goal? Is that a realistic goal? Summer is about 25-ish days away, technically. Don't set unrealistic goals. And I am not at all saying don't aim high, but the higher you aim, the more time you have to give yourself to get there. Okay. And unfortunately, that's not ADHD. So we can have big, lofty goals. You can say, I want to make $1 million. If it's a really big, lofty goal, and if you're saying you want to make $1 million, but you haven't made $100,000 yet, then you can keep that goal out there. My long-term goal is to make $1 million, but my shorter term goal is to make $100,000. I want to make my first 100,000. Maybe I want to make my first 10,000. You can always add to your goal, but you need to start with a realistic goal that's challenging but achievable. So the point is, regardless of your ultimate goal, you have to have a daily goal. So if that's just to work towards your goal for 15 minutes, then commit to doing that, especially if you haven't been able to commit 5 minutes a day on it. If you haven't been able to spend 5 minutes towards your goal every day and you spend 15 minutes, you've already tripled your productivity. So don't look at it like 15 minutes. Oh my gosh, if I only do 15 minutes a day and I need to, I, I I'm not gonna, it's gonna take me 6 years to get there. Don't do that because as I told you back in one of the earlier videos, the more we do, the easier it gets. So if you just commit to 15 minutes today, and maybe you forget tomorrow, maybe you're busy tomorrow, maybe you absolutely cannot do it tomorrow, something happens. You jump back on that horse the next day and you do 15 minutes. And you just keep recommitting and you keep recommitting and you keep recommitting to doing those 15 minutes. And eventually you're going to be like 15. Yeah, no, I got time. You're going to start making more time because the momentum is going to be going. You're going to be like, I can do this. 15 minutes, it's not tough. I can do this. And the more wins you get, the easier it gets, the more time you spend. So don't worry about what you can achieve today and how small that may seem in comparison to how far away your goal is, because the more you do it, that goal gets closer and closer. That gap closes. So just go back to the roadmap. Know where you are now by getting really aware. Okay. Remember, get really aware. Know your destination, the ultimate goal. Plan daily progress, realistic progress, challenging progress. As Dr. Hollowell says, the right kind of difficult. So make sure that it's challenging, but realistic. You can do this. Get out your why and identity lists every single day. Every single day, you need to get those lists out. And when the demon pops up and tries to derail you, use your strategies. Change the story. Remember your evidence that the demon is lying. Kick the legs out from under that table and build a better table. And remember, desire is within you for a reason. You have that desire because you were meant to be on this journey. You were meant to achieve your goal. It's in you for a reason. So don't just ignore it and don't quit on it. So I hope that you've enjoyed the 5 day challenge. I do have a feedback sheet for those of you willing to give me some feedback. Just post a yes in the comments and I will reach out to you with the form. The system that I've given you over these 5 days, if you practice them consistently, and like I said, consistent as much as we would like, our goal is to be a daily, but the reality is we're going to hit those roadblocks. We're going to have those days where we're not doing it. As soon as you remember, you jump back on the horse, you get back in the race, you get back on the road. Used a lot of metaphors there. The more you do this, the more consistent you are, the more consistent you become, this system will be your default. The more you do this, the clearer your path becomes, and you can use it one at a time to add more goals. Nobody achieves anything by trying to spread their focus out. So just make sure that you are focusing on one thing at a time. Get it done, move on to the next. Get it done, move on to the next. So I'm not going to keep you any longer. I really want to hear about your progress. And if you get stuck, please, please, please feel free to reach out to me because I really want you to play full out in this 5-day challenge. Go back and watch the videos again and do the exercises and apply them directly to your goals. Okay. So thank you for participating. I really appreciate it. I've loved having you here. I've loved sharing this with you. And I hope to see you again soon in the Facebook group. Take care.